Harry's wife, Unearthed treasure. AOL interview video analysis part 102.81.8. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing to help you understand more about Harry's wife's narcissism through the analysis of the AOL interview from May 2016. It's now time to open it up to the floor to take questions from the audience. Undoubtedly, given the calibre of this interview so far, we're going to see some probing, forensic questions such as, why does the nodding of the head signify yes, and the shaking of the head mean no? Or, why does music written in a minor key sound sad or downbeat, while music in a major key sounds happy or upbeat? Possibly, the US Constitution makes no mention of a right to privacy. Should it be amended to affirm such a right? If so, how should the amendment read? Perhaps we might get into the arts. The poet John Keats once wrote in his poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn, beauty is truth, truth beauty, that is all ye know on earth and all ye need to know. By contrast, Plato in the Republic warns of poetry's power to make a falsehood seem true by beautifying it. What, then, is the relationship between beauty as achieved by the artist and truth? Perhaps that we ask many admirers of Ronald Reagan credit him and his policies with the fall of communism. Is that claim justified? Might be the case that we would ask, is there intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? Or it might be, how much of a person's income should go to charities? Or would the cause of racial equality have progressed more slowly if, in 1861, Abraham Lincoln had simply let the southern states secede? These are undoubtedly some of the questions which are going to be posed alongside various countries such as the United Kingdom, India, Pakistan, Israel, the Philippines have already elected female chief executives. Why has the US, which is arguably the world's leading democracy, not yet done so to any great extent? Also, does thought require language? According to Lord Acton, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Comment upon that, taking a historical perspective. These are bound to be the questions that are going to be put forward to Harry's wife, and undoubtedly the case that she's going to deal with them with her usual brilliance and incisive observations. So, let the footage roll.
And now I'm sure we have some questions from the audience.
We're going to start with a question from an online
I bet you
viewer.
have one in the front.
Okay.
Okay, so Tim would like to know, what advice would you give to a young aspiring actor graduating this year who also wants to be charitable and change the world?
Wow, Tim has a lot planned. I would say slow and steady wins the race. That's actually something that I truly live by. My mom always sends me little turtles from wherever she travels as a reminder of slow and steady wins the race. No, I think, look, a couple pieces of advice I've been given that have really helped is that don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years. And I think especially starting off when you're making a commitment to want to have a career choice or something that's high value to you, oftentimes people become really easily discouraged. And if you were just stick with it a little bit longer, you might see it change. You know, the process of auditioning is grueling, and it is very challenging for your self-esteem as well, because you'll hear no a lot. But if you stick with it and you're doing it for a certain reason, then you will end up hearing yes, as I did with Suits or projects before this as well. I mean, it's not the easiest, but I think what's great is that Tim's interested in then also doing aid work or giving back, because it'll help him have a balance in his life that makes it'll help to affirm for him, bless you, that...
Bless you, also.
Now back to Tim. No, but I think by finding that balance, like I was saying earlier, it's going to help keep him grounded and not make that audition the end-all, be-all. If he doesn't get it, it's okay, because he'll have perspective that bigger things are happening in the world.
Exactly.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. What's your name?
Erica.
Hey, Erica.
I wanted to ask you, I know this is really random, but
I can't wait to hear what this is.
I read that you used to be a freelance calligrapher.
I did.
And I wanted to know if you still practice your calligraphy, and if you do, what's some of your favorite fonts?
That's That's a great question. So when I was an auditioning actress, to pay the bills, I did so much calligraphy because I could do it in my free time, and it's actually quite lucrative. But I just had always had nice penmanship, and I'd done, I don't know, celebrity correspondence for Dolce & Gabbana or Four Seasons. I did Paula Patton and Robin Thicke's wedding. I did all these things that, like, yeah, it was crazy. I always say that if there's still a business card floating around there somewhere, I would just love to get a call from someone being like, will you do my son's bar mitzvah invitations?
And you had to do each one individually?
Yeah, of course. It's
Oh
your
my
hand.
God.
Yeah, it's your hand. But this is what I want to happen. I want that card to somehow appear and get that phone call and then have this 13-year-old boy show up to pick up his invitations, be like, oh my God, Rachel from Suits just did my bar mitzvah invitations.
I cannot believe that it never occurred to me.
I wouldn't charge them, by the way.
That you did every one individually. Like, I somehow thought you would just, like, letterpress it or something.
No, it's your handwriting. That's why so what's so funny too, and I don't think I've ever told this, you don't want to get your natural hand oils on the paper, so I would wear a white tube sock on my hand and sit there and do all the place cards and envelope
Girl,
addresses.
you got mad skills.
Oh no, I'm just resourceful.
Calligraphy while wearing a tube sock?
Resourceful.
I mean, mad skills.
Hey, Megan, thanks
Hey.
for coming today.
Yeah,
I'm
what-
a huge Suits fan.
Thank
I
you.
graduated from law school in June, and it was always such an inspiration.
Congrats. What's your
Thank
name?
You, Courtney.
Congrats, Courtney.
Thanks. I was wondering, whenever you're on with your dad or with Jessica, I feel nervous. Like when you rewrote her speech, I crawled under my bed. Do they make you nervous, or is that just good acting?
Oh, you mean with Gina and Wendell? Yes, well, okay. Gina is fierce. She is so perfectly cast as Jessica Pearson. And I will say that first scene, there were a couple that I get unnerved with. Wendell, I don't know why. He's just so cuddly and warm and easy, and they're both such fine actors. But there is a quality about Gina that is so regal that I remember there's one scene that I have with her. I think I was renegotiating something, and she just like walked toward me, and she had this posturing, and I was so I forgot my lines in the scene because I was so unnerved by it, and like even in the actual episode when I watched the scene, my ankles twitching, like not when I'm seated, like I'm standing there and my ankles sort of bending, like as a little girl when you get nervous, I'm like, hi. Now meanwhile in real life, no, like go to her house and she cooks like picadillo and we sit and drink wine and hang out and she's awesome. But there's something about like when she's in character, it's just whoosh and
Tough.
oh my
Or she
God,
plays
it's great. Yeah, she's amazing. It's a great
We have
question.
time for one more question, please.
Hello, Megan. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. Great fan of your work.
Thank you.
Could
What's
you
your
hold
name?
Could you hold up the...
Arnie,
My
can you
name
hold?
is Artie.
Hi, Arnie.
I wanted to ask, who's a better boss, Jessica or Harvey, and who do you hate more?
Who's a better boss, Jessica or Harvey? Okay, so I'll answer that as Rachel. I think Rachel would probably say that Jessica is a mentor and a role model, and Harvey's probably a tougher boss for her because she's playing both sides of like being on Mike's side and then also having to be Harvey's associate. So I imagine Rachel would choose Jessica in that regard. And I don't think she does hate either of them. They're both pretty awesome on and off camera.
Yeah, Harvey was here. I mean, Gabriel was here.
Isn't he the
He's
best?
the best.
Oh, he's so lovely.
Hard on the eyes, but otherwise really cool.
Yeah, right. I know you can't win them all.
Well, thank you so much. Suits is back in June.
Thank you.
And please check out Megan's blog, thetig.com.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Well done on getting through that beige-thon. Interestingly, none of the brilliant questions that I posed got asked. Isn't that strange? However, some questions did get asked, and let's break down those questions and the responses to them. The first question, of course, was clearly a plant, on the basis in case nobody else had anything to ask, because it touched upon, basically, two things that Harry's wife ought to be able to talk about: acting and charity. And thus she was asked what advice she would give to an aspiring actor that had just graduated and somebody who wanted to be involved in charities and to change the world. Interestingly, of course, Harry's wife hesitates. This isn't because she's there to create gravitas by pondering, it's because she simply doesn't have an answer. Her poor cognitive function comes to the fore, and guess what we're treated to? Yes, it's fridge magnet platitude time. Steady and slow wins the race. And then we're told that that is something I truly live by. Really? So slow and steady wins the race in terms of your courtship of old Ginger Bollocks. You didn't live by that when you went hell for leather to lure him in and make him yours. What about slow and steady in terms of getting to know the British culture and to understand more about what the royal family is? Oh, no, you didn't. You didn't bother, and you copped a strop by fleeing overseas as the assertion of control by withdrawal. So you don't live by it at all. But of course, you don't have anything meaningful to say, Harry's wife, because you have no substance. And your narcissism, of course, then takes you to the position of trotting out the fridge magic platitudes. We then get told about how her mum used to send her turtles. Absolutely fucking fascinating. We then get another fridge magnet platitude. Don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years. And apparently we then get this brilliant insight that the process of auditioning is both grueling and very challenging. Really. And also then told you'll end up hearing yes, as I did with Suits. Oh, yes, you're involved in Suits. We'd forgotten about that for 30 seconds. You have to mention it again and bring it all back to you. And of course, in the consequence of her not being able to really talk about it, she's quite simply freezing and fucking up. Somebody, I think, sneezes or coughs, and she issues a bless you, which is very fortunate as enables her to get out of the mess, the cul-de-sac that she's gone into. We then get her going on about by finding balance, and that's how he would keep himself grounded. So this is somebody who's in the acting profession and who undertakes charitable work and basically wants to change the world. And the fruits of her knowledge are slow and steady wins the race. Don't give it 5 minutes if you're not going to give it 5 years. Make sure your mum sends you turtles. Auditioning is challenging. You'll keep hearing no, but keep going until you hear yes. And find your balance and be grounded. Wow. What fucking insight, huh? A load of nonsense, and just underpins her industrial beigeness. That her attempts to assert control show, quite simply, there's nothing there. Nothing interesting, but it also highlights her character trait acquisition of the fridge magnet platitudes. Up pops Erica, and this time let's talk about another topic, which of course is close to what Harry's wife is all about. Yes, Erica declares, you used to be a freelance calligrapher. Do you still practice? And what's your favourite font? Wow, this is fascinating. That's a great question. Well, yes, because Erica has demonstrated that she's under control. She's painted white, and therefore she gets the praise. And she's praised because this question isn't taxing, and it means Harry's wife can talk about her favourite subject, herself. So we then get some more boring nonsense about what's involved, while the presenter disgraces herself by being overly enthusiastic and thinking, what, you do all of them self? Yes, it's fucking handwriting. And then, of course, we get Harry's wife exhibiting her magical thinking and grandiosity by saying, I want that 13-year-old boy to pick up his cards for his bar mitzvah and go, oh my God, it's Rachel from Suits who just did my bar mitzvah invitations. A 13-year-old boy isn't watching Suits. He's either introduced to porn and wanking like a chimp, or he's too busy playing on his Xbox to bother with shit shows like the one that you're in. So that just demonstrates her lack of understanding of the world, her disconnection from reality, and of course, once again, it's all about her and how wonderful and magical it is, and that everybody will go, oh look, it's Harry's wife, Rachel from Suits. I'm so blessed to be meeting her. Whereas most people would walk past her in the street and have no fucking idea who she is. She also then explains that she used to write with a white tube sock on her hand and is told that she's got mad skills. Wow, this really is world-changing stuff. Courtney then pops up. She explains she's a huge Suits fan, giving some fuel from a tertiary source, but she's also graduated from law school. And she talks about Gina and Wendell, and basically we're then told that Gina is fierce, so perfectly cast as Jessica Pearson, and Wendell is cuddly and warm, and then we get some word salad about twitching ankles, which by that stage I think I just actually zoned out. Finally, up pops Arnie, who is struggling to understand the concept of the use of a microphone, who then asks who's the better boss, Jessica or Harvey, and who do you hate more? Now, interestingly, Harry's wife decides she'll answer that as Rachel, which is a real surprise given the fact that he is asking about Rachel's perspective because he's talking about the characters. Nevertheless, Old dimwit here has to state the obvious, as usual. We're then told that Jessica is a mentor and a role model. Again, those favourite words of hers being trotted out. Apparently Harvey is a tougher boss as she's playing both sides, but she doesn't hate either of them. And then there's some praise for Gabriel, whoever that might be. I think another member of the cast of Suits. And then there's the audience applause. The Beijathon comes to an end. Harry's wife has got through it. Those that don't understand anything about narcissism will have thought, oh, she seems quite nice and she told a few jokes and there we are. Anybody that's got functioning brain cells and understands about narcissism will have seen that once again there were so many aspects of her narcissism in action in this interview, but overall the biggest things that come from it are how deadly dull she is, how she has nothing of interest to say, how she repeatedly freezes because she can't find anything meaningful to say, and that she just falls back upon trite fridge magnet platitudes. That's your lot, as they say. Undoubtedly you'll find all of this incisive and interesting, and well done for forging through the bollocks that was her responses. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.